Yeah. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. It's me, Ben. I'm here to answer shooting questions. Tim Herron is on deck.
Yep, I'm here.
Matt Hopkins.
Hi.
Mimi's here also, yes?
She's laying down right now. We'll see if she gets involved.
All right, here's today's, one of today's questions. Devil's Advocate time. Between shooting since 1984, or been shooting since 1984 and have shot in probably 10 states, what I'm seeing now is difficulty getting into a match, not just level 2 or 3, but even a club match. Clubs I shoot at sell out monthly club matches at over 100 shooters in a heartbeat. Gone are the days you drive to a match, sign up and squad with your buds, camping out on the web with practice score on your browser and a visa in hand is the way of life, it seems. There are so many shooters and only so many ranges. Clubs do 5 or 6 stages with 100 plus, and it's a long day. Some ranges even have multiple clubs using the facility on the same weekend. So what have we done growing the sport? So obviously this old guy is upset that his sport has grown, right?
Yeah, it sounds that way.
What do you think, Tim?
I don't know, because living in the Midwest, and I'm sure, well, Matt and I know you the same, can both kind of attest.
It's a regional issue, you're saying?
Yeah, it's a regional issue, because in Kansas City, we're not selling out matches. I can go anywhere, honestly, within 2 to 3 hours away, and show up day of match, walk up with my $15-20 and, jump on a squad and shoot. So, like, I've never witnessed this issue for local stuff, but I do know people, especially like on the East Coast, Pennsylvania especially, it seems like, those guys, I mean, they put on a pre-reg, a week or 2 weeks in advance, and they fill up within like 20 minutes. It's like, holy shit, is this a state match? No, this is their monthly local. So that seems a little weird to me. But in the Midwest, it's not an issue with me, so I can't really answer too much to it.
I agree.
You agree with all that?
We're from the same area.
All right, well, what if you were living with life like this, Hopkins? What if you had to pre-reg for matches or you're not getting in, there's 100 dudes there for 5 stages?
I mean, something you got to deal with, honestly. Maybe you can get in good with the match director and like maybe help set up and guarantee yourself a spot or something.
Yeah, I've shot club matches with more than 100 people at them. Not where I live, obviously.
It's crazy.
It is. Yeah, so it makes for long days. It's a little bit annoying. I don't think it's a deal breaker for the sport, but I could definitely see people being annoyed by it. And I think the reason for the problem is it's pretty easy to add more shooters to a match, right? We can add more stages, add more shooters usually to a match, make more money, and it's easy to grow the sport that way. Once you get to a point where you've got like 20-person squads, it's pretty tough to grow beyond that easily. It doesn't scale well beyond that. So what they'd have to do is build more ranges, which depending on your state laws can be tough to do. Depending on the money situation, could take a long time. You guys follow me so far?
Do we really need to build more ranges, or just go after the ones that aren't actively shooting?
Yeah, usually you get ranges that aren't actively doing it.
That would be easier way.
Depending on the section, you could have a section stick in a fee to build up a fund to purchase land to build a range. Again, depending on the state situation. I don't know which regions you do that or where it'd be legal to do it, but what I'm saying is, once you run out of ranges and you run out of places to build stages, the sport doesn't scale very well.
Well, Foley always says like you can always set up a second weekend. That's like basically having a free match. You just need more volunteers.
Right.
So like do a second and fourth Saturday thing.
You can, but a lot of ranges it's like, no, that's IDPA weekend, or that's Cowboy Action weekend.
There's not 8 events, I don't think, that would prevent you from doing it. Maybe there is, but because there's usually 8 weekend
It depends
days
on. There can be very complicated club politics situations.
Yeah, but there is.
See,
that's just another idea. I mean,
I like what you're saying, but you see what I mean? Like okay, the sport's gotten to this point where now we have to make a second match, right? So same club, 2 matches. The way I see this going long term is moving into for-profit models, right? Where there's
a $40 fee instead of a $20.
Well, I don't know what the fee would be, but moving it from, but instead of making it like what guy would volunteer? Like, you give up 1 weekend a month to put on this match. All right, now it's 2 weekends a month to put on this match. At a certain point, there'll be enough interest, that guys can do it as a job to put on matches. There's enough, like, for example, where Gaston lives, his range is for profit, and there are guys who full-time run action matches. That's their full-time job.
Man, that's way down the road, I think.
That is way down the road for us, but that's where it's headed.
I could see a for-profit, maybe an entity, doing it instead of just to break even, to actually make money off of it. Not as like a dude's getting paid full-time on it. I think that's a ways off.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, that's kind of what it's running up against.
I see match fees increasing, honestly. I've said it for a little while now. I don't think it'd be a bad thing to increase them.
Well, increasing the match fees in this situation, you'd be doing that to try and discourage people from signing up.
Some people, yeah.
Right, so we'd be aiming to shrink the sport with a higher fee.
It only grows so much.
Well, no, the sport scales really well until you fill up the shooting ranges you have or fill up the calendar you've got, and then you need to find new ranges, build ranges, add more data. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm still just trying to wrap my head around, like, where if this guy has got 100+ shooters in 5 or 6 stages, I'm thinking, like, God, 5 squads of 20 to 25 shooters.
Yeah, but
God, that
probably 25% of the listeners are laughing right now. They're like, "Fuck, it's like that every month at my club."
Oh my God, that'd be just debilitating. Like, if they shot like an area match somewhere where like things flowed a little bit smoother, oh God, they'd want to stone their match director when they got back home. Like, you got me here from 7 in the morning till 6 in the evening to shoot 5 stages. I mean, that just, oh God. That makes me nauseous thinking about how bad that would suck.
I think some other models could come into play where they're open from 8 to 4 open squatting.
Yeah,
I think you could get more people through that.
Maybe.
But that would take a dedicated, like, maybe
the ranges I'm thinking of that do that, do it for profit.
Well, I mean, that's what maybe we got to go to.
They do what
now? You get the club match in 3 hours like people want.
Yeah, sorry, Hopkins, Tim's lost, so he wants to know what open squatting is.
You show up between, say, the match is open from 8 to 4. You can show up any time in there and shoot.
Oh, okay.
You shoot a stage, go to the next one.
So it's kind of similar to the club that we have a couple hours away, where you show up at 8 in the morning and if there's 7, 8 guys, he just throws you on a squad and you go shoot.
Yeah, it's close to that, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was how Bullet was maybe 3 years ago.
I like that. That's cool.
That's the only other way I could see it going. Then you can maybe spend 3 or 4 hours on the range and get out of there.
Yeah. Whew. But I mean, this is what's going to happen when the sport grows. The other thing I see happening is like we've had a little bit of it. There's been a few area matches or a few times that there's been some policy in place where it's, preferred sign up at our area match if you're from this area or something. But eventually, Area 6 is going to be, you got to live in Area 6 to go to it.
Right.
Eventually, that's going to happen down the road.
I see that as being, Area 6, Area 7, and 8 probably will be that way.
Well, no, I mean, eventually, sooner or later, I imagine all the area matches would get that way.
I don't.
Yeah.
We're pretty far off from that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, there's a few that restricted.
But I mean, fast forward 20 years, and these could be the issues that people are running into, where it's like you got to be from an area or a section to attend that match.
Yeah.
Yada yada, that kind of stuff. Which I don't necessarily think that's even bad, but
that would be not good. Like you would have, like how would that would
people
from my point of view of a guy that travels around shooting a bunch of matches, I would be able to do that.
There probably would still be a lot of matches for you to travel around and shoot. There probably would still be a lot of in-state major matches, or maybe like first come first serve major matches that aren't a championship for a state or area.
Yeah, maybe.
There'd be a lot of events, and they'd probably be bigger events. But I mean, those are good problems to have, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That means you'll be raking in fucking seven figures slinging CZs to everybody, right, Matt? If the sport gets that big.
Sure. More people, more sales. It's good for everybody, honestly.
Yeah.
People that teach, people that sell stuff. I mean, it makes sense.
You think that's funny, don't you, Tim?
I do.
I thought it was pretty funny, too. All right. Along this lines, Hopkins, you're going to be the guy talking on this one. I'm in the construction industry in Area 6. At this point in time, I get invited to more clay shoots than golf tournaments. You're bright dudes. You can... I'm not sure he sent this to the right person.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
You can imagine the logistics involved in setting up sporting clay shoots. Seems like a no-brainer for the same organizations to host Steel Challenge events instead. The barrier to entry is pretty low equipment-wise. You could sweep the dudes with no holsters into rimfire division. You could even have PCC and let dudes justify their range toy. It would draw a lot of people to the sport as a gateway drug if as it was intended. What if Steel Challenge were to apply itself to that end toward professional organizations that would otherwise have golf tournaments, sporting clays, providing a venue for clients to network, make some noise, etc. As you've discussed previously, the ranges that do Steel Challenge are way off the beaten path, and folks aren't likely to find it unless they're looking for it this day and age. The more prominent indoor range in the major metros can't shoot steel. So, so this guy thinks, I think the path to growing Steel Challenge and thus growing the whole sport is to sort of reach out to homos that normally do golf, I think is what he's saying.
Well, I think it's just to make an event where it would be accessible to everybody like that. To shoot a shotgun, you don't need a holster. So if we got rid of, or if we modified it in certain cases like this, where they could just do the low ready for any kind of gun, handgun, like centerfire, rimfire, doesn't matter, that would be one less barrier for entry for them. I'm not saying change Steel Challenge, I'm saying modify it for an event like this, you know? You could shoot steel inside, you just have to have a special setup for it. We do at a couple indoor ranges around us.
Do you think this is the right marketing path?
I think it'd be cool to do an industry event where some construction company hosts a Steel Challenge and people go stage to stage as groups. That'd be cool. But I don't know if there's enough infrastructure around to do that.
All right.
Like, how many clubs have all 8 stages? And the thing against that is...
Well, who cares how many stages you need? That's not the point of it.
Like 18 or 16, like a golf course. So they can bump the number of people on it up. You can't have that many people on an 8-stage Steel Challenge match. Can't.
Well, how many can you have?
Well, 8 squads, right?
I don't know. I mean, if it's just like I guess it depends on how the event's structured. The stages are
like
relevant.
The fastest draw on one.
It does not need to be like straight up Steel Challenge. I think it could be just shooting at steel. Like, start there.
Yeah, but I don't like. Is this guy volunteering to do something, or is he like looking?
He's floating an idea.
All these ideas are great. You got to have someone to implement them.
Yes,
I think that's the biggest problem with USPSA right now. We have so many ideas. Like, everybody has a different idea to make the sport better, or
no, you're right.
Better in their eyes.
We have somebody implement them. All right, I'm going to right now urge all the listeners, if you have a good idea like this, email president@uspsa.org the full details of your idea.
Hopefully this is Ben's idea, it was not mine. I'm not getting blamed for this one.
Hopkins, before the show, you told me to do that.
No, I did not. You're such a
No, you did not.
Yeah. If anybody wants to know how they can shoot steel indoors, I have pictures and stuff. I could show them. They do it in Europe all the time.
Yep.
So that is not an issue.
Well, it's an issue if the range won't let you.
Well, you just got to show them how safe it is. And
well, I think a lot of it.
Well, have you met some guys that own ranges?
Yeah, I have to
A lot
deal
of them
with
are some hard-headed
some.
fucks, you know.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Well, I think
All you
the
gotta do
thing
is enlighten
too,
them, though.
like with indoor ranges especially, is because they're all obviously for profit. So it's kind of hard to shut their range down, or it's hard to talk them into shutting their range down for a certain fee to have a bunch of people come under the range and shoot, let's
And
say
there's
2 or
always
3
dead
stages
time,
of steel
though.
challenge or things like that. What's that?
There's always downtime, though, somewhere. They're not
Yeah.
busy.
But trying to talk a business owner into doing that is sometimes near impossible.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
a lot of times a guy would be like, "No, we can't shoot steel indoors or whatever." What he's saying is he's not interested in your shit. He
Right.
just doesn't care. Like, we'll have to shut the lanes down. We can't do that.
Yeah.
No, but I think it might sound weird, but I think there's a lot of crossover between golfing and shooting. Sort of draws the same kind of crowds. I know plenty of pretty good shooters are ex-golfers.
Nick's not here, right?
We're talking for him.
We're correlating golf and shooting again?
It does make sense, though.
It does, you're right.
No, I mean it's people. I mean, I think we do draw that crowd.
I
sort
agree.
of, affluent upper middle class white people. Yeah.
Yes.
Now I said white people and you get all uncomfortable. Everyone is welcome. I'm just talking about who shows up, okay, bro?
Well, and the same thing, you can't just go out and go play golf in somebody's backyard. Just like, you got to have a course and a hole. And
You can't go out and shoot USPSA at somebody's
Right. But it's what I'm saying. There's some equipment you have to buy, equipment you have to use, to shoot versus equipment you have to buy in order to golf. And yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yes, so I get it. This is not a bad marketing tactic to put it out there for professional organizations. The thing they may not love the gun angle, but if they do Clay's events, it'd be a pretty natural transition into things. I think shotguns, like shooting Clays, somehow is less offensive to people than shooting handguns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that too.
I'll just agree with that before I make any other comments.
What other comment do you want to make?
Well, I think people see handguns and as more of a defensive, or a...
Or handguns are for shooting at people type of a thing.
Exactly, yeah. And shotguns are made at shooting for birds or for fun, There's a stigma against them, honestly. If you don't want to hear that, you're not.
You got to tell
paying
people
attention.
you can shoot handguns for fun, and you can shoot shotguns at people.
Yes,
It's all good. You can do whatever you want. It's a free country. You like that, don't you, Tim?
I do like that.
That should be the new
true.
USPSA slogan.
Don't
Well,
need
you
to
don't
limit our
necessarily have to
thinking.
keep that shotgun just to shoot clay pigeons. I mean, you can
Handguns. They're not
shoot
just for
somebody in the face.
We can shoot them at cardboard that looks like people. Don't have to actually shoot people. It's great. You get way more shooting in that way, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another bang-up job. So, yes, email president@uspsa.org if you have ideas like this that you want implemented. I think he's got some free time this week, so he'll be looking for ideas, actually. If you have a shooting question you'd like to send to me, head over to bensteger.com, send me your shooting question, and we'll answer for you. Thank you, Hopkins, for coming on.
No problem.
It's fucked up what you did, by the way.
Exit out the back of the stadium.
Thank you, Tim. Backdoor Matt. It is. Perfect, Matt. Oh, Jesus.
I took 2 off, dude. I was